ClickUp is the AI-powered work platform that unifies your
Nice to meet everyone. Hey guys, good morning, everybody. Today is Friday, December 5th. It is 6:23 right now. We got market opening up in about 7 minutes. I'm hoping the stream goes smoothly. As you guys know, I'm on vacation in Mazatlan for a wedding, so I'm hoping the internet connection here is stable enough for me to run this. I'm not going to be trading my own accounts, of course, because I don't think it's stable enough for me to actually get on NinjaTrader. I can only run so many connections at once. So we'll see. Hey, Stern, morning. So we'll wait for a few people to make their way in, and then we'll get started shortly. Looks fine though. Good here. Not too far. All right. We got a few moments until we get market open. So let me check my list of trades for the day. So today, well, I only went for the with momentum. It was easier for me to identify, but we do have quite a bit of trades available. So I think the first one's going to come up. I know we talked about kind of keeping this um, secret, but I don't got much screen space on here, so I might have to just put the list of trades on the screen for today. Yeah, starting to see that recovery though. Yeah, if you guys was watching YM. So we had this big drop, well, not a big drop, but it was, obviously a drop right here. It dropped about 150 points or so, and then it came right back up just a few minutes, like over the past 20 minutes, when 6 o'clock hit. I was just talking to Stern about that. It's super unusual that we get these like news events kind of pushed back. Today's technically NFP, so if you guys, are following the economic news. Today's technically NFP, but they moved it back to December 16th, which is a Tuesday. Very, very random. So we'll see what happens once that time comes around. Hey Daniel, morning. So all right guys, morning everybody. Today is Friday, December 5th. It is 6:25 right now. We have market opening up in about 5 minutes. Like I said, I have limited screen space today, so I might just share the list of trades on here. We usually don't do that, but we'll probably do it today just because I'm very limited with with my screens. I didn't bring my extra screens and I didn't bring my extra laptop to execute trades because I didn't plan on taking trades today. So I think I'll just do that. It makes it a lot easier for all of us to follow along and see what's coming up. So this is just for today, guys. I'll share the trades over here again. I know we talked about not doing this, but it's just a little difficult when I have one screen in front of me. Hey, Paul, morning. Morning, Lila. Looks like people are still making their way in. Hey, Masish, morning. Yeah, so if there's any issues with the stream, guys, just let me know. I'll just remind you guys again, I'm on vacation. You guys can kind of see my background's different. I'm in my living room right now. uh, on vacation. So the internet connection here is a little spotty. We're in a more, I don't want to say remote, but we're like in a smaller area of Mexico and Sinaloa. So the internet connection here is not super great. It works for the most part. I'm able to get live right here, but I don't know if I want to have any issues with the connections as we start. Fuck, they fill this up to the brim. Yeah, Miss He said extremely low ATR. Yeah, it's weird, right? Because today was supposed to be NFP, so a lot of people were expecting there to be a lot of volatility. There's other news events that were available today, though. So I'm looking over here at the calendar. There was initial jobless claims, continuing jobless claims, 4-week average, factory orders, etc., which came out well earlier today at 5:30. So, or maybe even earlier. But we'll see what happens. We got market opening up shortly in about 2 to 3 minutes. The first entry listed here is going to be at 6:35 with momentum. So I talked to a couple of you guys in the group who traded yesterday. There's a lot of entries yesterday. So if you guys looked at my list of entries, there's a ton of entries that were listed. One thing that I noticed, you're not going to see it on this list, but when there's like a bunch of trades, like, 5 or 6 trades listed as target entries, um, you still have to kind of decide which one you want to take. And most of the time, the first one's going to be, for the most part, spot on. And then the other ones, if they overlap, usually I want to get into those overlapping trades. I talked to Masij about that in the Discord. And the reason for that is because you don't want to fade your trade, right? Like, for example, you don't want to be in a buy position, then you have a sell position show up after, and then have to go opposite of it. So just something to keep in mind, and then also the flickering momentum. But we'll, if we get to that point where that becomes one of the cases that we have to look at, we'll talk about it. Amen this morning. All right, guys. So we got market opening up shortly in a few moments. Again, if you guys want to take the breakout's going to be the direction of momentum usually. It's not one of the listed trades here, but it's going to be at 6. Well, right now, basically, when this candle closes, in about 40 seconds for a sell. Try to drink my coffee. My coffee is not that good. That was gonna be good. Look good. It's not that great. That's all, guys. Need something to kind of get me going. All right, Masij said, yes, when they overlap, you need to be smart. If you're going for a buy for 3 times in a row, you need to look for the possibility of small drawdown to enter. So not entering after a big green candle, you can pick and choose. Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Masij. All right, guys, market is now open. So let's see what we got here. There's no target entries until 6:30. And then, um, give me 1 second, guys. Market is now open. All right, guys, market is open. So let's see. Masij said, I bring my own instant coffee when I'm on vacation, so I don't have to deal with horrible hotel coffee. Yeah, I thought it was gonna be good because me and my mom, you can see her right here in the back. She it's our nanny for Alina today or this trip. We went to they had a deli where they had like specialty coffees and yeah, it wasn't so great. Usually they're good though. I don't know, it's just this hotel or this resort. Anyways, guys, market is now open. We had a big push to the upside right there. First entry is gonna be at 6:35. So at 6:35, we have a trade that's with momentum. Put a line here so we don't miss it. It's not a target entry, but it is it's regular entry. If you guys want me to make this screen up here bigger, just let me know. Actually, I can just do that because we don't really need the tester down here. I'll just make this a little smaller so that you guys can see the numbers. But I have all of the statistics over here on this chart already, so we don't really need that. But yeah, that trade over here at 6:35, this is going to be with momentum. It has a max drawdown of 7.26. That's pretty good. Anything below 10% is great. Anything below 8% is even better. Overall win percentage of 50%. Buys have a 61.54% probability. Sells have 28.57 and has a profit factor of 1.933. So this means that for every loss, there is 1.933 wins. So that's pretty good, right? It's basically a 1 to 2. Ideally, you want something above 2. That's why 655, 656 here are going to be more ideal. But this is pretty close. I mean, 1.933 is not too far from 2, right? If this was at above 2, this would have been a target entry for the day. So, yeah, we'll see. Oh, perfect. Yeah. So basically, right here, Masih said a better definition is for every $1 you lose, you gain one. Yeah, exactly. So if you lose $1, you make 1.19. So it's not a clear 2 to 1, but it's good enough. Yeah. So the good thing with this, and another thing that I was looking at, Masih, I don't know if this is something that you're looking at, but I was trying to remove the direction, right? I looked at the trades from yesterday. There was a couple that lost, but a lot that won. If you were to just ignore the direction of bias, or I mean, I guess like, because here's the thing that I noticed and I started to realize is that the win percentage, although it helps in a sense, we talked about this. This is why I made a refinement to our list here. The win percentage is good, but just because it loses, like say for example here, it loses 20 or it wins 20% of the time, this doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to win the next time, right? Or same with the buys. Like the buys could be low overall, but this doesn't necessarily mean the next trade's going to lose. It can still win. So, I mean, there's different ways to like pick and choose. Exactly, yeah. So, like Masij mentioned over here as well, he said, yeah, the direction kills more wins than losses. It should not be the decider on whether to enter or not. So, the thing is, the key thing that you want to focus on really is that there's not a high max drawdown. And the reason you want to do that is because it makes it virtually impossible to blow your account. It just shows that there's going to be losses here and there. But as long as there's not a lot of back-to-back losses, it makes it virtually impossible to blow your account. Because if you have a loss and then you have a win on the next one, you're going to recoup the loss very quickly, right? So that's why the max drawdown, I think this is probably going to be the most important thing. You don't want to do anything with a high max drawdown because this means that you only have so many back-to-back losses before you bounce back versus if you have a lot of back-to-back losses, your account will be blown before you can recoup it. So I think the bigger things to look at here would be like max drawdown to prevent ever blowing your account, and then profit factor to know that you make X amount versus your profit. So these are going to be important, and then I think the win percentage is going to be last. You want to have at least a decent win percentage, but if you're going to have a high profit factor and a minimum drawdown, your overall win percentage is going to be profitable either way. So this kind of just falls in line with what you're going to have anyways. Because if you don't have a low drawdown and a high profit factor, you're not going to have a high win percentage. It's just impossible. It's not going to work out. So I think this is a back burner. All right, so we have an entry right here at 635. So see how there's a flickering momentum on this candle right here, guys? I just talked about this with you guys. When there's a flickering momentum like that, in a situation like this, I would just avoid the trade because that means that momentum is shifting the other way, right? So we do have this trade right here at 635. If you want to take it, it's technically going to be a buy, even if this closes with a sell signal. But see how the momentum is pushing down? In a situation like this, you don't really want to take anything at all because you don't know if price is going to swing back up for correction or if price is going to keep dropping down lower. That's just, that's the name of the game right there. It's really kind of following momentum. And if you are trading with a flickering momentum, you can be going against momentum and not even realize it, right? So again, if you wanted to take the trade here, technically you could have taken it. This is a 635 trade. Again, I wouldn't recommend taking it, but if you guys wanted to take it, again, it's up to you. But once we have that criteria to identify flickering momentum, it'll be helpful to know when to really avoid it. See how price is still dropping down? There's still flickering momentum on this candle as well. So it's not what I would consider anything good. It's nothing that I would personally take. Not to say that this won't hit, because this could probably hit. It's just when there's a flickering momentum there, the odds of it shifting down are very likely. Hey, Lamar, morning. Yeah, Masij said, well, since we have set TP stop loss, your profit factor will equal to win rate. Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't really make a big difference. If you guys look at the entries which came up, I mean, they're going to be about the same anyways. Like if you check the listing of the previous entries versus the previous criteria to the new criteria, it's going to be very, very similar. Not a huge difference. Hey, Justice, morning. All right, so we got price here kind of bouncing back and forth. Again, the first target entry is going to be right here at 655. This one over here has a max drawdown of 7.65, has an overall win percentage of 60, buy percentage of 87.50, sell percentage of 41.67, profit factor of 2.251. So this is a pretty good profit factor right here for both of these, 655 and 656. These identify as pretty good entries that typically come up. If you guys want to take these, I think these would be a safer bet, of course, if you guys do see it come up. Again, the 635 is not a target entry, it's just a listed entry. Isn't necessarily bad, but also not necessarily great. You want to be a little selective and choosy with your entries, or if you don't, then, feel free to take it, but it's not going to be like I wouldn't hold my breath for this trade, of course. We'll see. I mean, who knows? This thing can shift right back up. We're in a bullish trend right now, so it's not necessarily a bad direction, right? We're in a good direction here, trading in the direction of the trend. Looking over here at the, let me just move this to the bottom. Bottom right. Yeah, so everything here is pretty much for the most part bullish. You can see over here on the 1 minute, 5 minute, 10 minute, or these are the seconds. I don't know why that's at the seconds. Huh, it's weird. There we go. That's weird. Why is it not on the screen? Well, whatever. Back to our trade here. So the trade's about to hit full TP right there for 40 points, guys. Almost there. That's the 635 entry. There you go, full TP. If you guys took that first entry, it wasn't a target entry, but it was an entry nonetheless that was listed. So I'll go entries for today. We got the first one right here, 635. This was a win plus 2R. So currently one win, zero loss, plus 2R for the day. Got another one coming up right here at 655. So win for it. Yeah, Masij said it's a tiny bit less selective, about 7% calculated new versus old. Yeah, I wouldn't mind having more things to look at there because we've been having a lot of these no entries, of course. Justice said, yeah, use the weighted formula from before in a personal spreadsheet, and entries are pretty much the same. Yeah, it's pretty much the same, just a little more options there. Masij said, market is setting into winter. The new baseline is 25 ATR, which is perfect. That's what we want, right? You want it to be closer to 20. And like Paul mentioned over here, 20 to 30 ATR is ideal. Yeah, because we're using a 2040 TP stop loss, so it makes sense. So I like the ATR right here, right? It's nice. We don't have much drawdown and kind of just bounces around a little bit, but it's overall, for the most part, it's good. So first entry right there, 635, full TP, 40 points. We got the next one coming up right here, 655. Kind of see where this ends up going as we follow along further. Hey, Sam, morning. Yeah, Sam said news later. Let's see. We got some news coming up today. Or actually, I think all the news is done for, oh no, this is from Thursday. Oh, my bad, guys. So I'm looking at the calendar. I had this mixed up. I had the wrong date listed. It was the 4th. That was from yesterday. The news is actually coming up later today at 7 o'clock. So in about 20 minutes, we have PCE price index month over month. We got personal spending month over month, core price, PCE price index month over month, personal income, Michigan consumer sentiment. Yeah, all that stuff coming up at 7 o'clock. Thanks, Sam, for the reminder. I was looking at Thursday's news because I didn't trade yesterday. Mendez is asking, what is the setting that you use for ATRs at 14? Yeah, 14 by default. If the market's super, super volatile, then you want to change it to something closer, which would be like 7, but they're usually going to balance out. They're not going to be super different. So typically, 14 is good enough. Yeah, 14 is good enough. You'd rather have a larger scale of like movement anyways. All right, let me give this coffee another shot. Let's see. Let's see. Rev said, "Hi, Sean. The weighted average was 0.0000, but now it's 0.00. Can you help me understand what the current weighted average means?" Did it change? I think it's been the same, right? Oh, so we took off the weighted average. I think that's where the confusion is, Rev. This is max drawdown, not weighted average. So what I was mentioning earlier is that the win percentage, the weighted average that we talked about, it's not super, super important. I think the thing that's really important is going to be max drawdown. This is different now. So I think you might have not realized that this is different. It's not weighted average anymore. What we did for the weighted average is we basically added the overall with the higher direction of trade, right? So we added them together and then we divided by 200 because the max that we get have is 200, right? So that's how you get the average. You add up the two numbers and then you divide it by the total, which is 200. So with that, that would identify, the weighted direction, like which direction you wanted to trade in. And the reason why we don't use that or why I decided to take that off was because I realized that the win rate, it doesn't really matter, right? I mean, it matters to an extent, but if you're above like 50 or 60%, a little small percentage is not going to make all the difference. And the reason for that is because like you could have a 50% win rate. Like for example, see this overall win percentage is not high, but it's still a one for today, right? So as long as you meet a threshold of like above 50 or 60%, having it all different by like 1 or 2 or 3% is not going to make a big difference. If it's like 80%, okay, it's going to make a difference. If it's 20%, it's going to make a difference. But if we, on average, the overall is always going to be around like this is our threshold, right? So with that being the case, that's why I knocked this down as like lower importance. The higher importance is going to be max drawdown. The reason why we have this here is because this is going to tell you whether, if you took a specific trade, like say, for example, if you took 635 every single day and you took the proper risk parameters to like take every trade, you'd make it virtually impossible to blow your account, right? Because it has a max drawdown of 7.26. So like if you want to just take one specific trade every single day and you just want to make sure that you never blow your account, you just would have to use like a contract size that would allow you to lose 7% of your account, right? So that's why our threshold is 10, because if you do lose more than 10, you'll probably blow your account if you keep losing back to back like that. But this here shows you that you could lose 7%, but then when you start winning, because the profit factor here starts to factor in, basically for one loss, you have 1.9 wins or two wins, meaning that, if you have a loss or drawdown of 7%, once you get into that win streak, you're going to have more than double that. So you might lose 7% initially if you have a max drawdown, you just keep losing, losing, losing. But then when you start winning after that and it starts to turn, you'll have over 14, 15% in profit. So you basically recoup the loss and then you make profit on top of it. That's what we want to do because we're doing a 2 to 1. So that's the main difference with it. Yeah, no worries, Rev. I know it's hard to, you probably didn't notice that. But yeah, we shifted from focus of win percentage to more so max drawdown and profit factor. Because the thing is, like, you got to understand that you're going to lose trades, right? That's just part of the game. You can't avoid losing trades. So in order for us to be okay with losing trades, we want to know that even if we lose trades, we'll still be profitable long term, right? So I think it's going to be a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people if you like really like to win, which is me, right? I think that's why for me it's really hard for me to follow the algo because I'm so used to winning. I like having like an 80 or 90% win rate and having very minimal losses. The problem with that is that that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be profitable long term, right? Like we used to do a negative risk reward and we had like a 90% win rate or 80% win rate. Sometimes, we would have really good months and then sometimes we have really bad months. The problem with that is like, even though we had a high win rate, the max drawdown was extreme, right? Because, for example, this is a 1 to 2. So, you can imagine if this is a 1 to 1, the max drawdown would actually be a lot higher. It would be like double this. So, it's just a different solution. It's a different equation, a math equation to identify, your long-term profitability. And I think long term, this is probably going to be the best option that you can go with if you want to be a lasting trader. So, yeah, I mean, if you're trading with prop accounts, you can always blow an account and just buy a new one. But for me, since I'm trading for people and I have a hedge fund that I'm operating, I have to, this is really important to follow because my main goal is not to blow accounts, right? And as long as this stays below 10%, it makes it virtually impossible to blow an account. Like it's literally, you have to really screw up to blow an account because with this type of drawdown, this is not a lot of drawdown, right? This is max drawdown for a sample size. So basically what this shows is that within a 20-day period, this is the max drawdown you'll go into. But when you're not in drawdown, you'll be making 1.85 of that. So like, for example, like, you could lose 8% back to back to back, but then once you have a win streak after it, you'll be up like 16, 20%. So you recoup the loss, plus you make double profit on top of it. So yeah, if that went over your head and you guys don't understand it, it's completely fine, guys. It's just, we're using science. We're basically tying in science with financials, and that's why you'll see a lot of quant traders or a lot of really successful traders. They have a science background, right? They have a background in physics, they have a background in statistics, they have a background in mathematics. Because if you can do the math and you can figure out the solution to have, profitability long term, that's like the key thing, right? You're not guessing. You're trading based on the numbers. So let's see. Paul was asking about the ATR. If you're looking for this ATR right here, Paul, just go to the K2 trailing stops, go to indicators, go to your invite only, go to K2 trailing stop. You click on that right there. Once you click on that, go over to the indicator settings. It'll have your ATR set up right here. And then the ATR location, you can choose where you want it. I like it in the bottom center, so I have bottom center right there. Just make sure you have this on right here, show ATR, and then it'll show up on your screen. By default, you'll have the trailing stop lines listed. So just go over here and uncheck these to take these two lines off. This indicator was meant for like longer term trades, but I don't really take longer term trades, so I don't use it anymore. For a while I did, but it's just not really useful to me. Let's see, Talanji said, damn near perfect explanation, bro. Yeah, no problem. It's like it's gonna be hard in the beginning, guys, because we've transitioned to quant trading. But trust me, long term, it's gonna make a lot of sense. Because the thing is, like, what we're trying to factor in here with the statistics is that we're trying to make it impossible to blow the account and then float the account until we have a win streak, right? Because like, let's take a look over here. Let me just show you 655. Um, Like you guys will be mind blown to like what's possible, right? If you have the right numbers in play. So right here, check this out. Let me just show you guys real quick. So this is a 655 entry that's coming up in about 5 minutes, right? So see how we have the max drawdown here? It's only 7%. You'll see that we only lose like maybe once sometimes. And then this is the worst loss, right? If you have two back-to-back losses. So if you have two back-to-back losses, look how like you'll kind of you lose one, which will make two. Lose one, make two, make four. Lose one, make two. Lose one right here. But then look at this win streak. This is what I'm trying to explain to you guys right here. If you can handle the market, right? Because the market's going to go back and forth. That's just market, right? You can't do anything about it. You're going to have wins, you're going to have losses. But if you can handle the wave right here, kind of waves around a bit, and you get to that point where the win streak happens, like you're in home stretch, right? And this is only for 655. Right? 655. You think about this. If you have multiple entries that are target entries and you're weathering the storm for a lot of them, and then you just have that time period where they just all hit, or there's gonna be times like that where you have like target entries and they're just all winners. You make a lot of money really quick. So that's why like we're trying to, I mean, in a sense, trying to crack the code basically, because that's all you really need. If you have the numbers in place and you have the actual statistics, you can trust the strategy, just take them as is. And that's why I was saying, like over here, like it doesn't matter if you take buys or sells, because like, you look at the list of trades here, you'll have a sell here that wins, you have a sell here that loses, right? But eventually they balance out. Same with these right here, right? Couple losses, a win balances out. So that's why I'm saying like um, it doesn't really matter which direction you're trading in. It's just that you're trading with the direction of momentum. Yeah, Solange said it had a few unlucky periods this year due to consecutive losing periods that So that data helps calculate contract size based on account. Literally, I guess. Yeah, exactly. So, if you have, so for example, if you have a 7% drawdown, you could take like less than 1% per trade, right? Because if you take less than 1%, then you're only going to risk up to like maybe X amount of losses. And then once you have that, and you can put the statistics here too, or you put your numbers in here. If you want to know exactly what you should be using, right? You put your capital size right there. You put your order size, like what contract size you're using, and this will adapt to it. It'll literally tell you exactly what you should be using, what you shouldn't be using. So yeah, Masij said that's why you can't be selective. You have to take the trades. The numbers are on our side. You can't miss any. Yeah. You got to eat the losses and you got to eat the wins. But long term, it should pan out to profit. All right, we got the first target entry coming up right here at 655 if you guys want to take it. Again, there's a target entry or a target direction here, but you don't have to follow this, right? You just want to go with momentum. Um, so it's coming up shortly. Like I said earlier, like it depends on like what you guys want to take, but I mean, the target entries are going to be the ones that are listed higher because they have a higher profit factor. The odds of these hitting are a lot more likely. Let's see. Paul's asking Sean, do you still use the session high lows? Not with my specific entries because we're going based off the data here, but you can use them. It's just it's gonna like take an effect on like your entries, right? Because if you're using those sessions and there's gonna be entries that you're gonna avoid that you could probably take. Um, Not necessarily it's a bad thing, but it's not gonna be based on the numbers because you want to be based on the numbers, of course. So I personally don't use it, but on my main chart over here, I still have them up. Yeah, they're still there. All right, so this entry over here at 655 is looking like it's going to be a buy entry. It's going to be about a minute, guys, because it's after the 655 candle, not on it. All right, see how there's a flickering momentum on there? We just talked about that. I don't like the flickering momentum on the candle. So even though this is a target entry, like we mentioned, it's one that I probably wouldn't look to take because we have a flickering momentum on there. The reason why I don't like taking flickering momentum candles is because that's indicating that momentum is attempting to shift the other way. If you guys want to take it again, feel free to take it, right? You just want to take it as is. Um, that's going to be something that I might have to factor into our statistics. I know Masij is working on something like that to kind of identify those. But that's just something I started to notice a lot more lately, right? The flickering momentum would identify that it's probably going to be a risky entry if it ends up closing. So the 655 entry is running right there. There's another one running right after at 656. So we'll just follow it right here, of course. This is a target entry. It's running up in profit right there. Will be another one following it. It looks good so far. There's no drawdown. There's another one right after it. We got two of them running right next to each other. 655, 656, both for buys. All right, we're following it right here. So like I mentioned before, guys, if you guys are going to take these entries, ideally, I would like to go with the first one. Um, the only reason for that is because they're overlapping, right? I mean, you probably have to choose one or the other. Ideally, you can't really jump into both. If you wanted to, it would just stack up a position, so you'd average in. But typically, I would go for like, the first one, of course. Market here is kind of choppy, but again, we don't really want to use that to factor in anything. Like the fact that market structure here is choppy shouldn't really affect your ability to take the trade. You got to take it based on the statistics and the numbers here. I will mark up some structure here just to kind of have an idea of like where price is kind of screwing around, basically. So we got that right there. Price is kind of just going back and forth. Just drawing a little bit of structure here. So the numbers aren't horrible, right? Numbers are not horrible here. It's just price is just kind of flat, which happens sometimes, right? Price is flat right here. Not really too much going on. We have another entry that came up right here after at 657. These are all overlapping, like we talked about. It's not necessarily a bad thing. They're all buys. So like they're all kind of pointing that direction, but price here is kind of stuck. It's trying to get past this resistance right here, but it just doesn't have enough momentum behind it, right? So we have 655, 56, 57, 58. They're all for buys and they're all pushing up. So we basically have one, two, three, four trades running alongside each other to the buy side. I think it'll work eventually. It's just going to take some time. Once it breaks out of this resistance point, the uh, the outside information, right? You don't really care about the trend too much. I mean, it's okay to look at, but you don't want to factor it into your deciding factor of the trade. You don't even want to look at the direction. You just want to make sure you're with momentum here. So the R multiple on this one's going to be crazy today, guys, because these are a lot of wins. I wish I had my laptop here, but the internet connection here is really not that good, to be honest. It really isn't. So I don't think I would have taken these trades even if I had my laptop here because it's a little spotty with where I'm currently at. Damn, the R multiple right there is crazy. So let's see. One, two, three, four, five. Five wins right there. So that's 10 R for the day. It's huge. Let's see. Masih said I saw the flickering bearish momentum. I personally wouldn't enter this one. A bit too flat. Don't trade on Fridays anyways. And Masih said, guys, don't listen to me. I'm just doing random analysis because I don't trade on Fridays. Yeah, the one thing that Masih did mention is that he doesn't like trading on Fridays or on Mondays, right? I think those are the two main days, which makes sense, right? Makes sense. But the trades here did play out. So again, if you go based off the numbers here, pretty good day so far. 650, 635 win, 655 win, 656 win, 657 win, 658, all wins. So technically it's a pretty huge day today so far. And this is all based off the information. So let's see. I believe there was news here at 7 o'clock. Usually I would skip trades that are like too close to news. I think it was Michigan consumer sentiment, which was pretty mixed. Michigan consumer sentiment was bullish. It was in favor. Personal income was bullish. Core pre-C price index was negative. It's a little mixed. Yeah, I mean, it kind of depends. So the thing is, we typically don't like to trade too close to it. So I mean, depending on that, it would have, swayed you to not take the trade at 655. The thing with the 655 is that it's a really good entry. Like from the statistics, this entry has been hitting for days, right? So like I still would have taken the 655 even if there was news at 7. I would make sure to get out before 7 or try to get out before 7, but I think the 655 would have been a good one because it's usually on point, based off the data and the statistics. Nice. Paul hit his full TP right there. Justice caught the 656. Jonathan caught it as well. Nice work, guys. So you guys got great work right there for the most part. Constantine said, but anyway, I personally think the audio and video quality is better from the hotel somehow. It's because of my laptop, Constantine. I don't think it's the internet connection, but it's my laptop because I have the latest MacBook Pro. I never use it. I mean, I should use it instead of my desktop, but the desktop has so many screens, so that's why I use my desktop in my home office. Because I have like 4 screens. But I know the video looks good, the audio is more crisp. It's because of this new laptop. Every year I buy the newest MacBook and I never use it. I only use it for traveling. So if you ever traded with me when I was traveling in the past, you'll notice that like even though I'm in a hotel or if I'm outdoors or something like that, the video and the audio is way more crisp. Yeah, my office setup is pretty old, right? I think my MacBook Pro is like 2019, so it's about like 6 years old. It's like the highest spec MacBook uh, Pro that you can, or Mac station that you can get. But that's why it still works really well after 6 years. Um, but yeah, my MacBook Pro is like this is last year's, and it's the new M1 chip or M5 chip, whatever the new chip is. So yeah, Masisha, it's time to upgrade. The thing is, I want to upgrade, but Mac doesn't really make good desktop setups anymore. So if you guys have the new Mac, the new Mac, you can only connect one external screen, which I think is so weird, right? Like I don't know why they did that. Like why did they limit the Mac screens that you can use? So yeah, exactly. So like what Masij mentioned, he said they have a really good one, the Mac Studio. Yeah, I was gonna get the Mac Studio. That's probably gonna be the next the next thing that I can get. I have to get the Mac Studio because the um the new Macs, like the iMacs, so they don't have an iMac Pro yet. That's the thing. The iMac Pro is I think I have the last one that was released, where it's like one big desktop and one big screen. That's the I got the last one that was released. They do have the Mac Studio, like so I will probably eventually upgrade to that. See, the reason why I didn't want to upgrade to the Mac Studio initially is because we've been using NinjaTrader, right? NinjaTrader doesn't work on Mac. But now that we're going to be moving over to StoneX, it's web-based, so I can use a Mac. So yeah, I'll probably be moving over to the Mac Studio pretty soon. Mac Studio is pretty expensive, but it's worth it. Like I think I bought my iMac Pro for I bought my iMac Pro for like I think it was almost 12,000 for everything because it's all specced out, high spec. But that thing lasted me for 6 years, so or it's still lasting me now. So it was worth it. You think about how expensive it is up front, but then in the if it works for a long time, it's worth it because it's cheaper than buying, a new computer every year and like a high spec one is at that. Nice, nice. Yeah. So yeah, Masish said that he has the he's got the studio with 3 monitors. Do you have the XR display too? I don't think I can splurge on that. The XR display. It's really nice though. It's yeah, it's really, really nice. The XR studio display. Nice. Yeah. I'm probably gonna splurge on it. It's a nice screen. It's huge. The thing is, it's like it's our moneymaker, right? So it's worth it. I'd rather spend that on a computer than spend it on random stuff. Yeah, exactly. And Solange said, yeah, W tax write-off, exactly. Yeah. All right. So let's see. Lila said caught all three. Thank you so much, my brother. Also made 860 yesterday with only the algo. Was fearful of trading without you. Have fun. Yeah, definitely. So Lila over here made 1,640 for the day. Nice work, Lila. I know you typically aim for about 1,000, but you pushed it through this trading day. So let's see. Lila over here locked in. Great profits, guys. I'm a little jealous because I wish I was taking these trades with you guys. But so Lila here locked in 1,640. Nice work, Lila. We got Justice over here as well. Justice locked in. Let's see what you did for the day, Justice. I can't see. I'm gonna pull it up on the bigger screen. Nice. So here's Justice's PA counts. Nice, nice. About 4,000. Nice work right there. All profit on the PA counts. So killing it right there, Justice. Nice work, Justice. Nice work, Lila. Both of you guys doing amazing for today and for this week. So guys, again, this is like another reason Injustice, you talked about this yesterday and over the previous days. Justice, he really likes the algo because it takes out his ability to overtrade and revenge trade and stuff like that. Because see, look at the algo, it gives you entries here. So it's really hard to screw this up, right? The only way to screw this up is if you take trades that are not on the list, or if you take you're a little too selective with the entries. If you just take the entries that are highlighted in green, I mean, you only have three opportunities today. How can you overtrade? How can you revenge trade this? You can't. It's just not possible. It's like you take the trade at 655, you either win or you lose. Take the trade at 656, you win or you lose, right? It's not like, oh, I'm going to take one and then I'm going to take one right after. You have a list of trades here, but you're not supposed to take these, right? Because they're not part of the list of the target entries. So that's like one of the biggest things with the algo. I think it helps with a lot of other people. Um, is the fact that you have a set amount of trades for the day. Like for example, if you're taking three trades for the day, you know exactly what contract size you're going to use, right? Because you already know what your max lot drawdown is going to be, and you know what your max win is going to be. Um, it's all kind of set in place. So, anyways, the next algo entry is going to be at 720. It's not a target entry, but if you guys do want to take it, the max drawdown on this one's a little high. It's 8.30. Overall win percentage is 50. Buy percentage is 45. Sell percentage is 55. Profit factor is 1.835. This means that for every loss, you make 1.835 wins. So let's pull it up real quick. I'm kind of curious to see what the data looks like for that specific time. So we can see, how much drawdown should you expect before hitting a win streak, right? So the drawdown here is actually not that bad. It's just there's been a period here where I had one, two, three back-to-back losses. That's where the drawdown was eaten. But again, if you're taking 1% risk, that's only a 4% risk to make basically 8%. So yeah, the trade here is not super horrible, but it's not super great either. That's why it's not listed as a target entry. Let's see. Ed is asking, sorry, Sean, only just got here. Have you taken any of these trades today? No. So unfortunately, so I'm traveling right now. I don't know if you remembered, or I'm traveling. You can kind of see from my background. I'm in my living room right now at the resort. So I didn't want to take any trades today because of the internet connection. It's a little spotty. I wasn't even sure if I was going to go live today because it's weird. Like I tested my speed yesterday and it said it was too slow. And then I tested my speed this morning and it said it's fast. So that's why I was able to get on this live session. So I didn't take any trades today because I don't want to be internet connection to go out while I'm trading. So I did identify these entries and I posted the list on the Discord, but I made the decision not to trade today because of the choppy, spotty internet connection. I'm currently in an area where it's like, I mean, it's not necessarily a remote area of Mexico, but it's not a heavy tourist area, at least not anymore. Um, so with that being the case, the internet connection here is not super, super great. It's okay, but it's not like it's okay for me to stream. It's okay for me to like kind of talk to you guys, but I don't know if it's okay to take actual live trades because with the low, so the problem with that is that you get slippage, right? For one, it could be slippage, and for two, I could lose internet connection and I could be stuck in the trade. So It's just a couple things to, sort of be aware of. Let's see. Masij said, "Where are you?" In Sinaloa, Sean. I was there a couple months ago in July. Nice, nice. I'm in Mazatlan, in the beach city. Yeah, I'm in Mazatlan. So I'm here for a wedding. Um, this isn't typically a place I'd go vacation if I was out here. I actually went to a more remote area uh, last 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 summer. I was in Oaxaca. So I was there and surprisingly, we rented this really nice Airbnb and they had really, really good internet connection. So that one I actually traded there. The resorts though were kind of choppy. Like I offered to pay more for better internet connection, but this is as good as I can get. It's good enough to stream, but I don't know if it's super reliable. Yeah, he said they have great surfing there. Yeah, I know we're right on the beach. So like our resort, you guys can't see it, but if you look right behind, I have like a little backyard here in my suite, and it goes straight to the beach. So it's pretty cool. The waves are huge, especially right now because of the weather. So that would have been cool to go surfing. They don't have any, or actually they might have a surfboard you could rent. Maybe I'll do that after this live session. Might as well, right? Make use of it. Yeah, it's annoying that today's been really good so far. I know today I was really hoping you could take some trades today. If you guys took the trades yesterday, there were a lot of entries. If you took every trade, it would have been profitable, but there was a lot of back and forth. If you guys remember the market from yesterday, it was very choppy. I wasn't trading live yesterday, but from what I saw, so let me just pull back over here. Yeah, so the market yesterday was a little choppy. I was looking at it, so like right here, very, very choppy back and forth. There were a lot of wins, lot of losses. In total, there would have been it would have been profitable, but there was a lot of like back and forth with market compared to today. Today's pretty smooth. Again, if you guys are looking to take the entry, the next entry is at 720. It's coming up in a bit. So 720 right here. Let me scroll up real quick, see if I missed anything. Yeah, let's see the surfing stream. I know I have to bring my laptop out there, huh? On the ocean. Jesus said you should try it. Rent the big blue ones. They're easier to stand up on. Yeah, the floaty ones, right? The Costco ones. Yeah, those are cool. As long as yeah, the waves aren't too choppy. It's pretty easy to catch on those. I used to have one when I was in San Diego. I used to surf out there. But then I got a hybrid board. And man, I just never wanted to surf anymore. The hybrid boards they look cool and they're fun if you know how to use them, but it was more of a pain for me. All right, guys, 716. We got the next entry over here at 720. So this is another good thing about the algo is that we're just waiting for these entries to come up, right? We're not really, there's no stress here because we're just waiting for it. And then when it comes up, we're like, okay, we'll decide if we want to take the entry or not, of course. The entry right here at 720, it's not a super great entry. I mean, it's okay. Has an 8.30 max drawdown. We talked about it right here. With that being a drawdown, there's time periods where it has four back-to-back losses. And it doesn't happen very often, but there are times. So it's just something to be aware of. So it has an 8.30 max drawdown, meaning it can lose X amount of times. It has an overall win percentage of 50. Again, this doesn't matter too much. Buy percentage of 45, sell percentage of 55, profit factor of 1.835. This means that for every loss, there's a 1.83 possibility of it winning. Or if you go into a losing streak, eventually when it bounces back, you'll have an ability to bounce back and make almost double your profit on top. iPhone's asking, how did the baby do on the flight? Oh man, she was good for the most part, but yeah, it's tough. It's tough. She was crying a lot. Overall, she was good, but she was crying a lot. We were supposed to go to I have another wedding to go to in Vietnam in the spring, but I don't think I'm gonna go because I don't think she can last on a plane for like 13 to 16 hours. Is MJ here? Oh, you are here, MJ. Yeah, you going to Brian's wedding in Vietnam? He invited me, but and I was supposed to go, but I don't think we're gonna go because of it's too long of a flight, and I don't think we could leave Alina alone by with her grandma or with a nanny or something for that long. Yeah, I really wanted to go to his wedding, but yeah, it's not it's gonna be a no-go for me, not with Alina. All right, so we have the entry coming up right here at 720, guys. If you guys want to take the trade, it's going to be with momentum. So obviously there's going to be a sell signal here. One thing that you want to look out for is the flickering momentum, right? So again, you don't have to really be watching it too much, but as we get closer to the entry right here, you want to be looking out for that possible flickering momentum. This is not a target entry, it's a listed entry. So if you guys are feeling okay with taking something that's not super, super high probability, you guys can still take it. But it's not something that I possibly would be looking to take, of course. Nice, nice. Yeah, MJ said, yeah, I'll be out there. Yeah, man, it seems fun. It seems like it's gonna be a blast. It'd be like uh it'd be like the old Gamma chapter days, huh? At the Theta House. I always think about that. The Theta House in that you guys had out there. That was a crazy time, like a demolition party. I was just talking to Ikina about that the other day. Ikina's getting married too. Yeah, his gonna be. Is Ikina already been on here? Maybe Ikina's on here. I mean, we were brainstorming where he wants to have his bachelor party. He's Nigerian, so he was asking if we want to go to Nigeria. I was like, I don't know. I mean, I'd love to go to Nigeria. I'm not familiar with the area. He has family out there, so we have like, but I think, it's pretty out there. Yeah, Akina. It's crazy. It's crazy how time flies. All right, guys, entry's coming up right here at 720. So we got this one coming up. It's going to be a sell entry. I didn't really see if there was a pending buy momentum here. So if you guys want to take this entry again, take it at your own risk. It looks like it could be good. It looks like price is shifting. So it pushed up a little bit and it's starting to shift to the downside. So if you guys want to take this trade here, I mean, feel free, take it at your own risk. Again, if you do see a flickering momentum, I'd price it out of it. I don't see it so far, but I mean, yeah, we'll see how this ends up playing out. I'll be following it for you guys. I'll be marking it up because obviously we're gonna add it to our list here of entries for the day. But like I said, this is one of those lower probability type trades. The max drawdown's a little higher. I think it's the highest one out of all of them today. Or no, there's a higher one right here at 743. But all right, we'll see what's up. Entries running right now. There goes that momentum up. Tricky entry right there. We do have the pending momentum on this one. This is also against the trend. Yeah, it looks like that one didn't play through, which is all good. It happens. Like I said, we already talked about how this one here is probably not going to be the best entry. The numbers they just didn't line up very well, right? It had a high max drawdown. It had a lower profit factor, and the win rate wasn't that high. So it's all good. We listed as a loss. We talked about this and we always talk about this. There's losses that are going to happen. But if you guys can be able to accept that losses are going to happen, you can still be profitable. So we're still at a 9R for the day. It's still really good. Overall, the day's been pretty great still. The next one coming up is going to be at, let's see, 32. 732 is the next one. So, you got to be transparent with yourself too, guys. Like when you guys are applying a strategy, like for us here, it'd be so easy for me to say something like, "Oh, I would have skipped this trade because it's against the trend," right? I feel like that happens with a lot of people. That you try to convince yourself that, oh, you would have avoided this trade if that was the case, right? But realistically, if you're going off the data, you wouldn't avoid the trade because it's just part of the list. Um, like if you ask me if I had the option to, um, to avoid this trade, but not have this type of performance for today, I would go for the performance, right? I would rather have all the wins and all the losses than have, or not all the wins or all the losses, but I would have rather have, the overall statistics versus just, maybe take one, maybe take one loss. Either way, if you took one win here and you took one loss, you'd still be in a profit because you'd have a 2 hour minus 1 hour. So you'd still be at 1 hour for the day. Asish said, I'm sure she had her lucky Hello Kitty mug. I know I got that mug is our lucky mug there. Paul said, 720 depend on how it plays on previous candles. Not sure if I'll take it. My son loves car rides and plane rides. Yeah, my daughter likes the car, especially my car, because you could kind of you could feel everything in the car. But yeah, the plane rides, I don't think she doesn't like it as much yet. There's also like a singing group on our plane. It was a like I didn't post it on my social media, but my wife did. We had like the singing group on our plane, so they were singing the whole time. Kind of annoying, and it kept waking up my daughter. They're like I forgot what they call them. They're like I'll have to ask my wife, but they're like a Mexican group, like basically a group that kind of sings together, and they're kind of like is I'll have to look up the name. No, not a mariachi. It was like I don't know. My wife was joking around with it with like the other people on the plane. They're basically like carolers, but Mexican in a sense, like Christmas carolers, but sing Spanish music or Spanish songs. Like they were literally singing the entire plane, and it was you guys can only imagine. You guys are on a plane with all these people, and like you got a group of like 6 or 10 people singing. They're good at singing, but it's like I don't want to hear that shit on the plane, right? You're on a plane for like a couple hours and you just hear people singing the entire time. Uh, yeah, I'll have to ask my wife. Nothing against the group or stuff like that, but you just don't want to hear that stuff on a plane, especially if you have a baby that's like 4 months old and she's trying to sleep. It was this 2 a.m. flight, so everyone here is trying to sleep, and you just have a group of people singing the whole time. All right, let me check the list over here. So we don't have anything until 7:35, guys. Uh, Norteño. So that's what it's called, a Norteño. If you guys are familiar with it, some of you guys might be familiar with it. Um, but yeah, it's if you guys are familiar with a Norteño, it's like basically like imagine hearing that on a plane for like 3 hours the whole time. So we have no entries until 7:32. Um, yeah. So you guys look at price how it's currently moving right now, right? So the cells here were identified properly. It's like it just got spiked out on that one candle right there, that big green one, right? So if I pull this out a little further, it looks like, it just like I said, the losses are going to happen. You're going to have these big spike candles that just kind of happen out of nowhere. But then price here is actually going to where it was supposed to, right? So basically liquidated, the sellers right there. And now it's coming right back to where it was supposed to down here. So like I was saying, you can't predict every single trade. The trade here still looked pretty good, but it's just one of those trades that you just got to take sometimes and they just lose. Overall, if you look at the statistics again for that specific trade, it's actually repeating. So like look at the process over here, how it's repeating. It's repeating the drawdown max again, which was like 6.9, I guess. And then eventually, so this is one thing that Masij was actually looking into. So you see, remember how we talked about this Masij where or it's fine, you're gonna head out. But basically like Masij identified that if there's a lot of back-to-back losses, it's probably gonna turn the other way or a win's about to happen. So like for example here, this is exceeding the max drawdown, right? It's four back-to-back losses. There was like three right here, one right here. So if this is the case, then for the next entry at 732, which is going to be on Monday, this is probably going to hit. It's probably going to work. I personally wouldn't really want to mess with it because obviously the profit factor is not super high. But looking at the max drawdown here, it's already it's met the max drawdown. So it should be flipping, or the next trade should win if it's based off the statistics there. If you're just trying to base the trade off the statistics, of course. So just something to keep in mind. Yeah. All right, Message. We'll see you back here on Monday. Have a good weekend. Rev is asking, hey, Sean, what is the link to the Momentum V2 strategy video? I can't seem to find it on YouTube. That's what the algo is based on, right? Um, the algo is based on, well, sort of. It's more so based on the breakout. So if you guys remember in the past, like, we used to take the entry where we would take the breakout entry at 6:30, but then the algo is now just running on every single candle. So instead of just running it at 6:30, it's going on every single candle. So that's for the most part what it's based on. Um, or if you want to just base it off momentum, you can do that too. Like for example, you can either look at the breakout strategy or you can look at the momentum scalp strategy, any of the momentum strategies really, because what it's based on is it's just based on the momentum. So for example, if you're applying or another one, I think this is probably gonna be the better one. If you look at the pivot scalp strategy, that's actually what it's based off for the most part. I think that'd be the closest one because they're all the same strategy. It's just the momentum breakout was based on like 6:30. If you're basing it off the pivot scalp, that's actually gonna be a little more closer to like what you were probably looking for because for the pivot scalp, so if you guys remember that strategy, the pivot scalp is basically when you have a momentum in the direction of the trend, right? So right here you have a buy momentum and the pivot scalp would just be based off that candle, right? As soon as it closes. But now instead of that, so for example, this is a pivot scalp entry. It would have hit target. Right. So you would basically only take the entry off the momentum close, right, for the pivot scalp. But the way that the algo works is that it goes off every single candle. So instead of just having this one entry here, it's like, okay, hit, hit, not hit, etc. It just follows the candle basically until the momentum shifts, right? So now when it turns the other way, like you have a sell signal here, now the algo runs this way. Instead of buys, it's now looking for the sells. Does that make sense, Rev? It's like the very first original strategy that we used to apply. So that's kind of what it's based off for the most part. Yeah, the only difference so if you look at the pivot scalp, it's going to be based off the trend. So what you would do is you basically would just take off the pivots. Like you wouldn't use the trend to identify that. You just look for the direction of momentum, if that makes sense. We're making it as simple as possible where there's only one criteria to follow. And you're not using any other factors. Like you're not using trend, you're not using market structure, you're not using any of that stuff. You're just using the momentum by itself. Yeah. Yeah. So basically look at the pivot scalp strategy, but take off the criteria of trend. That's literally it. So that's what the momentum algo runs off. Because we're only using momentum in the future. So when Masij has the data, we can actually add filters to it. So instead of having just the trend or just having the momentum, we can add the trend to it. So like then we can add a filter like, okay, if we want to add this filter, if this is going to increase the probabilities of winning, maybe we can add a filter there. But that leads to overfitting. If you're not familiar with overfitting, it's like having too many criteria for a strategy. All right, so we have the entry right here coming up at 7:32, guys. There's a flickering momentum over here. So again, this is one of the criteria that we talked about earlier, right? I mentioned this is probably not going to be something that you want to take because this shows that momentum is now shifting up. It was currently down for a little bit, but it's now shifting up. So with that being the case, you might not want to take this here as a sell. So that's the 7:32. The next target entry is at 7:44. So we're getting closer to it. We're just not there yet. But again, I will keep documenting these trades as we continue along, even though they're not entries that are listed as target, just to be fully transparent with what's coming up and what's not. Yeah, no problem, Rev. So at least this helps with you understanding, what the algo is based off of. Because if you understand the logic behind it, we're just following momentum. Basically, we're just following in that direction and then riding until it doesn't ride anymore. So here's the entry at 732, guys. It's currently running in profit. Again, if you guys have seen the previous entries, if this doesn't go into drawdown, odds are it's likely to hit, right? Very likely that this trade's gonna play through. So it's currently running right here. You can see the short position was taken right there on the close of that candle. I'm not in this position, but we're following it. It's this trade at 732 is with momentum. It has a max drawdown of 6.9. This is nice. I like it when it's as low as possible. I think this is or not this one. The next one's gonna be lower. But these two entries right here at 732 to 742, they have very low max drawdowns. Let me put the statistics already here. Let's take a look at it. Okay, yeah. So looking at this so far, actually, so for this trade right here, this looks good because this is the one I was actually just talking about. So this has already reached the max drawdown, right? It's already draw down at least 4 trades. So with that being the case, this is likely to push in favor. Well, we can't say for sure, right? There's no way to guarantee it. Um, but I mean, if you put all the numbers together, this trade is likely to hit because you look over here, has a 6.90% probability or 6.9% max drawdown, 50% probability overall, 27 for buys, 77 for sells. This actually lines up pretty nicely. The only thing that I don't like is a profit factor, right? It's 1.6. So this shows that for every loss, you make back 1.6 wins, which is not great. You want it to be above 2, right? That's why the target entries here have above 2, because you want the entries to typically be cleanly in your favor. But we'll see what's up here. Yeah, we'll see what's good here. All right, so this trade's still running. I mean, it's looking good so far, but it is still running. Really low volatility here. So with the market, or not the market, well, yeah, basically the market, with it being very, we call this a squeeze. If you guys are not familiar with this, we call this a squeeze. And, when price is done squeezing, it tends to break out. So this is where it becomes a little bit of a problem because it can break out up or it can break out down. It doesn't really matter which direction it breaks out. But see how we had that pending momentum? The pending momentum is still pushing up. As long as that pending momentum doesn't actually close, uh, I think this could easily come back down further. I'm gonna move this structure a little out so you can kind of see where it needs to go to reach a certain area. But yeah, we have this right here, 737 right now. The next entry is at 742. See, this is what I was talking about. Like these kind of fade each other in a sense if you go off the win percentage. This is why I don't like using the win percentage very much because these trades will fade each other. Like 732, this is a sell. 742, this is a buy. This kind of throws off your entry. If you're in a sell and then you have a buy come up, you're like, crap, do I exit this position or do I stay in it? But again, these entries are not target entries, so they're not entries that I plan on taking or that I would have taken to begin with. Either way, so looking at the list so far, we had so many wins for the day so far that even if we had all losses for the rest of the day, you'd still be in profit, right? Because we were up 10R earlier. For every win, you get a 2R. For every loss, you get a 1R. Um, not that I want that to happen, but I just want to show you guys here. If you look at all the numbers in total, if you were to lose every other trade, you'd still be in profit, right? Because if you were to lose one, two, three, four, that would be -4, and you were at a 10R, so you'd still be at 5R for the day. So again, I just want to break down the numbers here so that you guys can kind of understand like why we follow the algo. And there you go. See how the breakout's starting to happen to the downside? I personally don't like when this happens. If this happens and we start to get market squeeze, I typically would like to just step away. I wouldn't even want to look at the chart. I would just probably turn around or like go do something or walk the dogs or something like that. Because I would hate to watch this go back and forth and then make me want to pull out of the position, right? In a situation like this, you're like, you just got to let the trade do what it needs to do. The thing is, the numbers show you that it's supposed to come down, right? And what's happening right here? It's coming down exactly to where it's supposed to go. So that's why you have to not second guess your entry and just let it do what it needs to do. Because once you start putting your discretion in, that's where everything goes down the drain, right? That's when you're screwed because you end up pulling out of a position that you should have held on to. So, this is a showcase of like the algo really. It's a really strong showcase to show you that the algo, we're basing it off the numbers, basing it off the data. It's doing exactly what it was supposed to. Even though price here kind of would have thrown people off a little bit, it's coming right back down. So we'll keep following it right here. All right, it's still kind of bouncing around that area. Yeah, no, definitely, Sam. So did you get any trades yet, Sam, for yourself? Hey, Hussein. Yeah, good to see you here. You and AB. Aaron's here. What's up, Aaron? Yeah. If you guys remember Aaron, that's Coughing Aaron, aka Black Aaron. If you guys remember Aaron, Aaron was like, those of you who were trading with me from like the very beginning, Aaron was the guy that used to run K2 with me back in the day. It's not every day you see AB in the chat. Um, yeah, hopefully Aaron's doing good with his trading day today. Might be slow for you. You're on here. All right, so this trade right here at 732 is about to hit. It's we'll just I'm gonna call it a win before it even happens because it looks like it's gonna hit it. Next one's at 742. It's coming up shortly. There you go, full TP on that trade at 732. So again, if you guys trusted the entry and you let it just kind of do what it needs to do based off the numbers, it did what it needed to do, right? 11R for the day. Damn, huge day today, guys. Huge, huge day for the algo. 11R for the day. That's crazy. I don't think we've had an 11R day in a while. It's been a long time. November was like an 11R, 13R month. It's an 11R day. So we got the next entry right here coming up at 741. Hussein's asking, what are those numbers, Sean? So the numbers are based off the algo right here. The algo pretty much provides probabilities of trades hitting in a certain direction. This isn't really open to the, usually I don't put this number up here, but because I'm not, well, because my internet connection here is not super great at this resort, I put the numbers here so we can follow along a little easier. All right, we have the next entry coming up right here at 742. Again, this is going to be another sell entry. I know it says buy here, but if you're just going based off the momentum, it would have been a sell. Let's see, ATR said ATR dropped to 15. This is my trade. This trade was close to hitting my stop. Yeah, it kind of pulled back a little bit. I'm assuming you kind of got stuck in some slippage there, right, Paul? It happens sometimes where you get caught in slippage. For me personally, I like to get in with limit orders, or I try to, because I don't want to get in with some slippage. Either way, you're going to get slippage because even if you get in with limit order before the candle closes, you can still get in a little higher, a little lower. This kind of depends on how the candle closes from there. But all right, we have this entry coming up right here at 742, guys. This is with momentum. So if you guys were to take it, it's going to be for a sell. Um, I know here it's listed as a buy because the probabilities are higher for the buy side. But again, I'm getting to a point where I'm thinking about gutting this whole direction criteria altogether. I like having it there, but you don't have to really follow in that direction, right? You can kind of take the trade whichever direction you want. So there's this trade right here at 742, which is currently running. It's going to be followed up with another one right after. It does have the pending momentum on it. So it's like one of those trades, again, we talked about, kind of tricky because price can be flipping the other way. But if it doesn't go into drawdown very much, I think this trade could play out pretty nicely. So we got this one right here, 742. We got them all coming up right after each other. So 742, 743, 744. They're all lined up right after each other. So, all right, if you guys have any questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. Yeah, Paul said the slippage is bad. Yeah, that's why I prefer to get in with the limit orders, because if not, you get caught with a lot of slippage. All right, trade's running. It's a little slow, but it is running. 743, that one's also running. Another sell right after it. And then 744 right here as well. So the thing with this one over here is that this is for a buy. So this would actually be no entry for the target if you're looking for a target entry. I mean, if you wanted to take it for a sell, that's fine. This has a pretty nice max drawdown, 5.61. So, you might run into losses, but they're very unlikely, or they're just unlikely in a sense because the drawdown is so low. The overall probability is 60%, buy probability is 75, sell probability is 37. The thing that really shines to me the most, though, is the profit factor, right? 3-point profit factor. What this shows you and what this says is that for every loss, you have 3 wins. So if you have a loss, it'll be followed up with three wins. So when I have something like this is, I mean, I wouldn't consider this a unicorn trade, but yeah, this is pretty good. Because if I had if I could risk one to make three, and you're doing a 1 to 2, I would take that, right? Because what this is telling me is that if I have a loss of 1, I basically would make 6 because it's a 1 to 2, right? That's a pretty good, like those odds are really good. If I could risk to lose 1 to make 6, I would do that, right? Um, and that's why the profit factor is important, because the profit factor, like, I think this is the most important thing, honestly, guys, because this is based off a 1 to 1, but then we're doing a 1 to 2 risk reward. So you would have a profit factor, you'd win 3. You'd basically, if you lose 1, you'd win 3. But then because you're doing a 1 to 2, you multiply that by 2. You basically are at like 1 to 6 in a sense. It might not work every time, but when it does work, it works in a big way. So again, we got price here kind of just bouncing back and forth. We talked about this. It's pretty, for the most part, normal. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. Otherwise, we're going to wrap this up pretty soon. I mean, overall, it was a great day, though. Overall, great day. So let's just go back over here real quick again. I'll just kind of look back at what we were looking at. So 742. This one over here was basically a no entry because it was for a buy, but then it came up for a sell. 742, or 743, this here would have came up because it was a sell, and this one would have been a no entry. So let me put these over here real quick so that you can see. So this here wouldn't have played out. Again, we would have wanted to buy for this entry, right? So looking at the 744, we would have wanted to buy for going with the direction. But either way, trade would have came up either way. So the 742, this would be a no entry. The 743, this would be a loss. And this one over here would have been no entry at 744. And we're still going off the direction right now. I need to phase this out at some point, but right now we're still going based off the direction. So with that being the case, there was two losses for the day, I believe, or three losses, or no, yeah, two. So two losses for the day. Let me just make sure that the R multiple is correct on this. One, two, three, four, five, six. Yeah, six wins, two losses, and we're at 11 R for the day. So not bad for like all of these entries that came up. Again, I would only go off the target entries. So the 655 over here would have been good. I mean, basically, this would be the one that I would take, right? I would take the 655, 656, and then this would be a no entry. So if you were only taking the target entries, it'd be a 2R for the day. 655, 656 would have won. And then this one over here would be a no entry because it was for a sell when we would have been looking for a buy. So not too bad. I mean, overall, it's a pretty great day. If you took every trade, this is what you would have came up with. Obviously, I wouldn't have taken every trade, but if you guys did take every trade, it would be an 11R. So here, let's just do this over here real quick. I'll add another one to it. So I'll go entries for the day, and I'll put target entries for today. So 635, basically all of these right here. So if you were to, and this is just going to be the differential, right? Two wins, zero loss, it'd be 4R for the day. So if you're looking only at target entries, the highlighted with the green, this is where it would have been, two wins, zero losses. If you took every single entry that showed up on the list, it would be an 11R, six wins, two loss. So, I mean, great day overall. Whether you took every entry or you just took target entries, either way, it would have been a pretty good day overall. So, all right, guys, if there's any other questions that you guys have, feel free to hop into the chat. Otherwise, I got to get to my wedding. So, well, not my wedding, but I got to get to the wedding. Got a church wedding in an hour, so I gotta go get dressed and get ready. But yeah, I think that might be about it, guys. Again, let me check the chat real quick if there's any questions that I'm missing. Nice. Sam took two trades on NQ. Hopefully they both hit. But yeah, guys, again, if you guys have any questions regarding the algo, if you guys are interested in using the algo, feel free to hit me up on Discord. It's still available to I mean, to you guys here. I'm not making it available to the public, but if you guys have any questions or you guys want access to it, I mean, feel free to let me know, of course, because it's still available to our inner group of people here. But yeah, great day so far. Again, I need to get to that point where I can remove all my discretion. Not there yet, but I'm getting there. And a day like this really helps because you can see here that if you just took the trades as they were supposed to be taken and didn't really use any outside factors, the trades here still would have played out pretty good. So, all right, guys, have a great weekend. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Discord. Otherwise, I will see you guys back here on Monday.